Stay at home on 9 to 5, raising your babies with joy and pride. A real ass mom, you're a real ass mom. Taking care of business. Ooh, girl, you're resilient. 'Cause you're a real ass mom. A real ass mom.
Welcome to the Real Mama Pod.
I'm your host, Devin.
And I'm your host, Kendra.
We are real moms.
Sharing real experiences. The things people don't tell you.
Hey, Mama. Hey, how are you?
I am well. How are you?
I'm doing well. If this is your first time listening, I'm your host, Kendra.
And I'm your host, Devin. Welcome to the Real Mama Pod.
Welcome.
So we have a guest today, and this guest is very special to me. Because we went to high school together and we stay in contact with each other via social media. I haven't seen her in years, but I feel like I know what's going on in her life because we do follow each other on social media and talk that way. And let me tell you about Miss Ashleie Elaine, okay? I mean, so accomplished, and it's so beautiful to see her living out her dreams out loud and her transparency. Like, she's been through some things, right? As we all have been, but she's been very transparent, and she's actually changed, not changed, but allowed her pain to be purpose, right? So she's been very purposeful with her journey with mamahood and what she does for a living. And we'll talk about that. We'll allow her to talk about that as well. But just to give you some high level points, she's a child's yoga instructor. Right now, she's over in Cambodia doing some work. Wow. Just like really living out her dreams. She's an author. She's a podcast host where she saves space for other people as well. So she's really doing the damn thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Advocate.
Yeah. Advocate. Everything. So Ashleie, welcome to the show. We are so
Ashleie.
happy to have you and really have this conversation with you. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you both for having me. I'm so excited to be here. So excited.
Yeah. Okay. So, look, your bio was very thorough, okay? And I don't feel like I did you justice, okay? So if there's anything you want to tell our listeners, please feel free to do so.
So the bio is always like hard to write because it's like, okay, what do people need to know? Like
Right.
what's important, right? I think the overall goal of just who I am is to let people know that they're in a safe and sacred space to be them and to heal and to find their purpose and really transmute their own pain into something just beautiful, right? Really live out their dreams. So yeah, I'm a 500-hour experienced yoga teacher. And sometimes in my head, I'm like plus because there's so many
Yeah.
different things added to that. I've worked in the children and family care system since working at the Boys and Girls Club in Orlando, girls.
Wow.
We'll talk
Yeah.
more about Boys and Girls Club after this call.
Yeah, and then just somewhere in there, like I just like things with the kids that I was working with started triggering me and then started my own healing journey. I'm an author. I have 2 books out now. One is a 31-day miscarriage holding space journal for women and families who have experienced miscarriage and pregnancy loss. And right now I have out, but won't be available on Barnes and Nobles until October. It's available on Amazon, is my new book, Married to Trauma. There's my story that I do. It was very fun writing this. And then I created a workbook component for other people to start looking at their own marriage to their trauma and what that healing journey looks like. And yeah, like Devin said, I'm out here in Cambodia, living my best life, healing and, giving back to other people through yoga. So I don't think I did myself justice. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. So thank you, ladies.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you
you
for
for
being
joining
here.
us. So can you briefly tell us about your journey to mamahood?
Yeah. The funny thing is, I remember sitting with my dad. We were getting breakfast and we were talking about like just life. And I was like, yeah, I don't want kids. I want to move to California and like live this glamorous life. couple years later, I met my son's father, and then I got pregnant. I was like, oop. And my dad was like, I thought you didn't want any kids. I was like, well, God does what he wants to. But it
That's
was the best decision ever. Like if I could talk about an experience that where God really turns our beauty into beauty from ashes, is
Mhm.
definitely that part. Like my son is 10 years old. Mamahood was a struggle in the
hmm
beginning because it was just me and him. Grateful for my grandmother because she's definitely like the rock. Like
Right.
she didn't kick me out and say, you got to figure this out on your own. She was like, listen, take your time. When it's time for you to get back to work, he can stay with me, whatever that looks like. So,
Wow.
my son he's what has also been a part of my healing journey, because I didn't know how to love myself. And there's something special about boys, right? Where they just like want to be with mama all the time. They want to, boss other people around and be like, listen, she doesn't belong to you.
Right.
But there's, and I'm sure you ladies can account for it too, and like any of the other moms, like there's just a different kind of love when it comes to your child that
hmm
makes you like connected to yourself in a different way.
Yeah.
Um, and he was that for me. And like whatever it was that he needed, like there were points where I just wasn't working, and it was like, okay, like I just need to show up for him, whatever
hmm
his thing is right now, behaviors in school, after school activity, whatever it was, I wanted to be fully present for that. I wanted to make sure that he knew that my mom did all of the things. We went everywhere. She let me try this, that, and the third, right? I'm
hmm
never telling him like, oh, you should just do this, right?
Right.
It's the way our conversation was like, well, what do you enjoy? What do you like to do? What do you see yourself doing, right? So even like me being here in Cambodia, the way I was able to like sell him on allowing air quotes me to go at Japan was like a 4 hour flight from here. And
Mhm.
all he's talked about is wanting to go to Japan. He knows he wants to get married to a Japanese lady and
Oh,
do
wow.
so, and Pokemon, right? So it's like, even in this space, I'm still thinking about him and his
Right.
dreams and his goals, right? And making sure that everything I do is to show him that you don't have to live a life according to other people's expectations for you. You can live the life that you see for yourself, wherever
hmm
that is for you. So yeah, motherhood it's a little ghetto, but it's
Mm.
A
it's
lot of
it's a
ghetto.
beautiful thing, right?
It's a lot of ghetto. So, Ashley, when we started the call, we talked about how you are immersed in yoga. Like that is your passion.
Yeah.
How did you discover this love for yoga?
I've always been an athlete. I played basketball, middle school and high school.
hmm
I ran 5Ks, half marathons. I like there was body work was never foreign to me.
hmm
So I was actually like taking my son to therapy because he was having some behavioral challenges. And the therapist said to me, "Well, let's get to know mom." And I'm like, "Sis, I'm trying to still figure out who I am."
Right.
And my son never went back. And me and my therapist started like working through some stuff. And the relationship I was in at the time just was off to me. And like we like started unpacking a lot of like childhood sexual trauma and all these other things from my past that my body had like was held on to, right? I had suppressed them, but my
Mhm.
body had held on to them, and a lot of it was starting to surface. And so my therapist was like, have you ever done yoga? And I felt something like leap in my
Mm.
spirit. And I was like, I do yoga Pilates. Does that count? She was like, no. She was like, I know a yoga teacher who is linking the 12 steps with the energy center work. She was like, it's all trauma informed. She was like, you should go. It's donation based. So I started going. My second time going to yoga. Like, this is the first time I've ever done yoga. My second class, I'm laying in balasana, which is child pose,
Okay.
and just started crying. And I was like, okay, after class, like I always kept a journal with me, keep that same practice. Like, I always keep a journal with me when I practice or when I teach. And after that, I was like, I don't know what just happened, but I'm curious to keep finding out. And
Mhm.
I just kept going. Even if I wasn't sure of what was happening, what was releasing, what was shifting, what was changing, I just wanted to keep going and see what would happen.
Mhm.
Um, and then I did that, talked to the teacher and just told her, I was starting to now have like these creative ideas and thinking about the kids that I was working with and a lot of like their trauma. And I'm like, at the time, I was like, if I'm 30 years old and this is what I'm feeling now, I can't imagine what a 16-year-old is feeling that
Mhm.
has just experienced rape or experienced physical abuse or experienced life in the foster care system. So my brain, like, and now, like, my creative juices are going, and she let me register for like a program that she had to learn more about the energy centers and linking them to yoga and all of that. And I created a program that I wanted to outsource yoga teachers with. Long story short, the yoga studio that I was interested in having like partnership with, they ended up offering me a full scholarship to get my 200-hour yoga teacher trained. They were like, well, why don't you just do that? We start a new cycle this January. And I was like, okay. So it just kept going from there. Like, I just kept falling so deeply in love with what it was showing me about me
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and what it was allowing me to experience within my own body and reconnecting me to myself, like building deeper awareness, deeper love for myself. So yeah, it just kept going from there.
And
Love
now look
that.
at you in
Look at you.
Cambodia.
Right,
Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah.
So when I think of yoga, I think of mindfulness and releasing stress, those type of things. So as someone who's active and doing yoga every day and teaching others, how
Mhm.
has yoga been beneficial for you when you in motherhood and facing challenges within motherhood and just on the daily, like daily life struggles? Like how has it helped you?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is like being able to like connect with my breath, right?
Mm,
At the end of the day, it's like less about the postures, less about the poses, less about the flow, all of those things, right?
hmm
I can count back to like times of like frustration dealing with schools with my son and dealing with his behaviors and trying to understand why he couldn't just behave with air quotes, right?
hmm
And those were the moments where it was like, Ashley, just come back to your breath,
hmm
right? Just come back to your breath, right? Um, I think yoga becomes a space that is hard for people to tap into and understand because of what we see on social media, right? It's the poses, it's all
hmm
the
hmm
headstands, it's all
Mhm.
these extra things that actually really do not matter, right?
Right.
The like even ancient asana teachers and gurus tell you that the most advanced posture in yoga is stillness. Is to sit in the most comfortable seated position, the most comfortable seated posture, right? And be still. A lot of
Mhm.
people can't do that,
hmm
right? A lot of teachers that you see that are like doing all these flips and tricks and shows and headstands, right? They can't sit still and just focus on their breath, right?
hmm
So that was the very first thing I really wanted to learn for myself or needed to learn for myself is to learn how to sit still, right? Because when we sit still, that means we have to be with ourselves. And a lot of people are afraid to be with themselves because it's going to show them their selves, right? So yeah, like that has helped me a lot through motherhood. Um, Also because my son sees me doing it, right? Those mornings when I get up and I get to my yoga mat and sometimes I may not move, I might literally just sit there and be still,
Mm,
right? He wakes up,
Mm-hmm.
he sees me, he comes and sits right on my lap. And we sit there and we just breathe together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then there's mornings where he's like, I'm not doing that. And it's like, cool, I'll do it for us, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Child, right? So yeah, it's always it's really can you be still and come back to your breath, right? Focusing on your breath. Bring your attention to the center of your body, right?
Mm-hmm.
That solar plex, that where your belly button is, and just feel into your body as you breathe, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's drawing awareness, it's drawing focus to something. It makes your breath bigger than whatever you were focusing on.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I really need to get into yoga.
You see, I'm changing my posture
Right.
just as she's talking. I'm like, sit still.
Because my breaths, I need my breaths to be bigger
I
than
took a
life.
deep breath and all. I'm just like, and we actually had an episode about breath work, and I started incorporating that with our children, with ourselves, and even when I'm feeling stressed, I'll
Yeah.
stop and take like a deep breath just to like regain control of my emotions, and it really helps. It does. So now I
Yeah.
need to just sit up straight and stay still.
Right, it's the posture. I have a terrible posture.
Hey, hold
So
on,
as-
let me adjust real quick.
Right.
Right. I'm all slouched over. But Ashleie, I know you talked about your son, like he may come and join you, sometimes sit on your lap and breathe with you, sometimes he's not interested. But have you formally invited him to your yoga space? Like, hey, come do yoga with me. Let me introduce you to this practice. This is what yoga is. Have you all had that conversation?
Oh yeah, yeah. Like he's been to any already because I'm just mom, right? He comes with me wherever I go. But
Mm-hmm.
he's been to like any yoga studio I was teaching at. He's been there with me. So there was a period in kindergarten where he showed his behind, like, and I told the school on day one, I said, if y'all don't listen to me, he's going to make sure you listen to him. And
Hmm.
he was getting their attention. So there was a period of time where like he wasn't in school, and I had just graduated with my 200 hour, and I said to him, I said, Jez, while we're home, this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to do
Mhm.
yoga. You're going to learn how to connect with your breath, and you're going to learn how to be still within your body. You need to learn how to have a calm body so that you can have a calm mind. I said,
Mhm.
I don't know what the school is doing. I don't know when you'll be able to start working with this tutor lady person
Mhm.
that's supposed to be helping you. But this is what we're going to do until that happens because I need you to learn how to listen to yourself.
Mhm.
So I would just kind of like, and this was before I even got certified in kids yoga, right? I would just take poses that I knew would be fun for him and use those to teach him how to just feel into his body, right? So there's, I created a little sequence for him. I called it the cannonball to boat, right? So it's
Mhm.
like he would put his feet up, put the soles of his feet onto the mat and grab hold of his knees and round out his back and slowly just roll back and forth onto the mat, right? So kids like to roll around, right? But this is him filling into his energy. And then when he's ready, the cannon would explode. So now he like opens up his body and like shoots his legs out, coming into a boat pose. So we would just do that over and over again, right? We would do alligator pose where he lays out on his belly, brings his hands out in front of him, and brings his forehead down onto his hands. He's got the giggles, so he's like laughing through it. But I'm like, I want you to just feel your belly when you breathe touching the ground, right? Just feeling
Mhm.
into it. That's really grounding for him to feel the body, like feel his body touching the earth, right?
Mhm.
So I would, yeah, like I would just do certain like little things to try and get him to like, I just want you to feel what your body feels like,
Mhm.
right? I
Mm-hmm.
want you to feel what your breath feels like. Of course, with like repetition, it takes time, but now there's times where like we're on FaceTime, and this was when he was in kindergarten. So now fast forward to like we're on FaceTime, he's 10 years old, and he's like, oh, mommy, can we do some yoga together? And I'm just like, absolutely. So we'll move around and he'll sit and do some breath work with me. Like, yeah. So like he's incorporating it now into his
Hmm.
space. Like he'll say, mommy, I just need to like do some breath work, some meditation. I'm like, all right, let's do it. So
I
yeah,
love that.
he's very aware of the practice and what it can do for him.
Yeah.
Hey y'all.
Hey.
So y'all know when we find out something we like to share, right?
Yes.
So we are podcasters. I won't say we vets in the game, but we're not super new and we're always learning about new things to enhance our audio, our video, and we came across Riverside.
Yes. We were introduced to this platform from a fellow podcaster, and we were previously using a platform that we thought was good, but it was just okay. The outcome was just okay. So we were introduced to this platform, and we have thoroughly enjoyed Riverside.
Yes, absolutely. The audio is much clearer. It doesn't give you that like, oh, I'm on a virtual recording.
Platform.
Yeah. It's pretty relative easy to use, especially for us. If we can work it, anybody can work it. And then it also uses AI to help you like edit your videos and give you magic tools and give you little captions you can create on Instagram and social media. So it's really helpful and we highly recommend it.
Yeah. So check out Riverside if you're in the podcast world, or even if you are in the virtual world with classes or conferences, any sorts of
Interviews.
virtual platforms. Riverside is a great tool to put in your pocket.
So check the link in our bio.
Bye.
Bye.
Kids are different, man.
Yeah, they're different from what
We
we were.
weren't doing breath work at 10.
No, or yoga or
I'm
Or
nothing.
nothing. Just
Add breath.
Right. So let's pivot the conversation a little bit because you are an advocate. You are helping people get through trauma through yoga and things like that. And you're very open about the things you've been through. And I feel like your story has really helped other people as well. Even your journal for moms who may have experiences miscarriages. Like I feel like you're very intentional when it comes to your experiences and helping others, right? And so
Yeah.
you've been very open about your trauma, and then you've also been very open about your domestic violence that you experience. So has yoga helped you with that? And how have you navigated through life with the experiences that you've experienced with the trauma base, with the domestic violence? Did you feel like you had family support? Where did you turn? How did you get to where you are today?
Yeah. So, where do I start? Um,
Devin loaded you up with a
I know, I'm
question.
sorry. That was very like all over the place.
dissertation, here we go. So I believe that along the way, right, between being intentional with therapy, being intentional with wanting to just keep learning about myself, right?
Mhm.
Um, this my very last relationship was like the icing on the cake for me to really understand and realize that I had been in multiple domestic violent relationships.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the scary part is that not all of them were physical, right? So there was a part like where there was a part where I was just like, no, like I'm not a victim. Like we're gonna get through this. We're gonna be fine. I'm not a victim. Like no, but there's a point where it's like, okay, you have to identify that you are a victim of something that you didn't ask for to happen. That's what a victim is, right? If someone steals your information, right? You didn't ask them to do that. So you're like, you've been victimized in identity theft. It's the same thing, right? I think where people miss the mark is like they stay there, right? They don't know. I don't want to say they don't do the work, but they don't know how to come out of that space, that mindset, like it now becomes an identity.
Right.
So what yoga has done for me, like on a consistent basis, is allowed me to regain power, right? Regain my voice, regain control of some type of narrative, right? That I didn't know that I lost, didn't understand, regain some type of love for myself that I didn't realize I didn't have, right? Because like having my son, that gave me a certain type of love, right? But it was still like I was a single mother, right? His dad was around, but it was like we barely knew each other, right? So it was like I was still like holding the brunt of everything. So it's like, okay, like I just got to go into mommy mode, forget who I am, forget anything
Right.
else. Like I'm just a mom at this point, right? And even that can steal your identity, right? Because we're not born as mothers, we're born as people. And then we gain these titles and these hats and these name tags, right? So at some point I was like trying to figure out, well, who am I outside of motherhood? Who am I outside of this? And it was a constant like letting everybody else tell me who I am, right? And it's like, well, he loves me, so I'm gonna let him tell me who I am, right? And that's where the abuse comes in, right? Because we don't really have a clear understanding of who we are. We don't really like know how to love ourselves, right? So anything that we can latch on that's going to give us some form of love, right? And the last version of love that we've known, right, is going to be what we hold on to. Um I'm I I believe that I needed this last, and this is going to sound crazy, but this is only for the mature and healed people. I believe that I needed that last relationship to be what it needed to be, or else it wouldn't have I wouldn't have been able to catapult myself into the version of myself that I am today. Because as much as I love that person, right, and want to see them win, want to see them heal, want to see them grow, I had to still figure out how much do I love myself to be able to still take on the spiritual abuse, the physical abuse, the mental abuse, the verbal abuse, like all these different things, right? And I didn't realize how deep it was until it got to the physical abuse. I didn't realize how like tainted it was until it got to the physical abuse. And even that part was hard for me to like maneuver through and ask for help, right? My grandmother is very supportive. I think she knew something was up, but like didn't know how to like really say it to me because there was a point where I wasn't even able to like go visit my family, right? Like this person was like I was like, "Oh, I want to go see my grandmother." Like and everybody that knows my grandmother's my best friend. And this person was just like, "No, you don't need to." And I was just like, well, can we like go later? You know, just trying to
Yeah.
like figure out like, but I still didn't. There was something that was just like, oh, like he wants me to himself. You know, like we
Yeah.
think we don't see that there's a fine line between like protection and control. And I had to learn that. Like
Oh.
I'm still kind of like trying to wrap my head around it in some spaces, right? So yeah, like I think they knew, like my grandmother and aunt knew something was going on, but like didn't know how to maneuver. And then when the physical altercation happened, like I was just like, yeah, no, mm-mm.
Yeah.
I don't, just off the basis of I don't live this life of like fighting. That's
Yeah.
just not me, period, right? I'm like love and light. I'm a cupcake. I'm a Jolly Green Giant.
Yeah.
Like that's just not me, period. So the next morning, I like tussled. I tussled so hard because it was like, I don't want to see anything happen to this person. Like, I love this person that much to where I don't want to see them in jail. I don't want to see them homeless. I don't want to see them and any, like, I don't want to see them in any position that's not gonna put them in a position to thrive,
Mhm.
right? But again, I had to ask myself, how much do you love yourself,
Right.
Mhm.
right? How much do you want to thrive?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
How much do you want to move forward? So I remember like leaving the house because at this point I was getting ready to go out on another mental health leave, called my godmom and was just playing it off. It was just like, yeah, no, like we're fine. It's like, I don't know, like there's just some things that I'm like concerned about, da da da. And she was like, well, she was like, I'm proud of you for like always keeping your heart open to love, but you know, you don't have to stay with anybody that you don't want to. It's like, oh, but we'll be fine, like this, that, and the third. Hung up. She called me back. She was like, something told me to ask you if you feel safe. And I just started bawling. Just 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 started bawling. And at this point also like, because now like I thank God for healing because now I can look at all of these situations, especially the icing on the cake situation, as the reflector, as the observer, right, and not engage with that space again. I can see looking back that one of the things that I wanted so bad from the people in my life is to feel safe and protected. And any relationship that I was in, that's what I was looking for. And I don't want to say they took advantage, right? Because everybody has their story, everybody has their journey. But there
Mhm.
was a space where, like, that was taken to another level and it turned into control, right?
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, like I had to, my dad is an ex-cop. I ended up calling him because he knows all the cop stuff, like
Mm-hmm.
how to get in and out safely, all of that. I called him and my godmom called him. He called my aunt, like all my family got involved at this
Mm-hmm.
point. And
Mhm.
it felt weird because it's like now I'm planning in front of this person's face how to keep myself safe
Right.
Mhm.
while they're sitting in front of me, which was like a weird outer body thing. It felt very distrusting. Like it felt like all those things that you would believe it would feel, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you're saying that you love this person that is sitting right in front of you. Um yeah, and then the cops came, they did a wellness check. I put air quotes because I already knew what they were coming for.
Right.
And
Mhm.
then that was the last time I ever saw that person in person again. And that will be 2 years, November 7th.
Wow. So when they did
Yeah.
the wellness check, did you leave with them or did they take him?
I left with them.
Okay.
So and I was like the crazy thing about that too, I was trying to like play like everything was fine, right? Because I had told him that I didn't know that the police were coming. So like fear was just sitting all in my body at this point.
Mhm.
My nervous system was wrecked.
Yeah.
Anything I had like I want to say like healed, air quotes again, right? Because we're never
Mm-hmm.
fully healed, but anything that yoga has already like tapped into, it was like either it had left my body or it was like, okay, now we have to take it up a notch, right?
Mhm.
We need you to like fully understand that this is what your nervous system is doing when fear kicks in so that you know that you're not in a safe space, right?
Right.
So it was like but we were still like we were going to the gym every morning. I was still practicing yoga every morning, right? But there was something still like just not easy, right? Like not
Mm-hmm.
at ease for me. And I could feel it more within my body than I could understand in my surroundings. But still was like, no, like we love him. It will be
Yeah.
fine. Like things will get better. But yeah, they came in and they took me. He wouldn't let me leave. Like he
Mm.
didn't want them to take me. He was like, no, that's my wife. Like she can't go.
Mm-hmm.
And they told him, they were like, well, the fact that you're not letting her go makes it worse.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like I ended up going to pack like a small bag and leaving and sat in the hallway and just bawled my eyes out. So I was like,
Right.
I don't understand how this happened. I don't understand how this keeps happening to me. Like all these different things. It's like all these cycles just started hitting all at once now. And it's like, why do I keep ending up in these situations? How do I
Mm-hmm.
keep ending up in these situations? What am I doing wrong that keeps me in these same situations? Even the first time like he hit me, I blamed myself, right? It was like, dang, Ashleie, like you could have done something different. You didn't
Mm-hmm.
have to like think like, I'm like beating myself up. And now I look back, I'm just like, girl, like you didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That conversation could have went completely different, right? You
Yeah.
weren't disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? Like now I
Right.
can look back and say like, Ashleie, that version of you, I love you because you knew what you knew with what you had at that time. But you did
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong. You didn't
Mhm.
deserve any type of treatment that is less than who you actually are.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was the smooth transition out of that. They came and
Wow.
did the wellness check. Yeah.
Wow.
So if there's a mom who is going through a similar scenario, what
Mm.
advice would you give to her?
Yeah, I would definitely first of all, if your child is with you, think about them, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does safety look like for them, right? And I think even first asking yourself, what does safety look and feel like for you?
Mm-hmm.
Because again, if we have unhealed childhood trauma, we end up looking for those things that we missed out in our childhood in our partners, right? And then we don't find it the way that we need it. So definitely first like ask yourself, am I actually safe, right? If you're able to have a moment of safety by yourself, come to a still place, put your hand on your heart space, another one on your belly if you need additional grounding, and feel into your body because your body is going to tell you we're not safe here.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Your nervous system is going to feel fluttered, your breath is going to feel all over the place, right? You're not going to be able to center. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
automatic, right? Your nervous system is going into fight flight, like it's not regulated at all, right? So I would first like tune inward, right? And it sounds crazy because like when we think about domestic violence, it's like no, like we need answers now. Like how do we get them
Right.
out the house, right? You can get them out the house, but that doesn't mean they're going to learn how to tell that this next relationship is healthier than the last one, right? It could be
Mm-hmm.
healthier than the last one. It still might be another version of DV, right? So really come
Mm-hmm.
to yourself first and ask yourself, do I really feel safe here? Right? Do I really feel valued here? Do I really feel like my opinion matters here? Do I really feel heard here? Right? It comes back to our own selves and our own self-worth. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then ask yourself, how much do I actually love myself? And is this person reflecting that same self-love, right? Because that's the mirror also. When we think about marriage, we think about relationships, partnerships, like we're all mirroring each other. So there's a version of you that's showing up in this relationship, right? So
Mhm.
what does that self-love look like? I would definitely, like any close friends or family, right? Talk to them and really be open with them, be transparent with them, be vulnerable about them, because as much as you share, that's the level of what they can help you with and guide
Right.
you through. Um, and then start planning, right? What does a safe exit out of this situation look like?
Right.
I actually just did an interview with a therapist that works with DV women for my podcast for October. And one of the things she said her clients would say is one of her clients would tell like their mother or grandmother, listen, if you see the porch light on, that means I need you to help me,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mhm.
talk to your family and friends about like key signals like that, right? Like
Mhm.
maybe it's if you see a red rope around the door, like something really small, a rubber band around the front door or on my car, right? That means I need help, right? It could be something so small because the goal is to not have like your safety plan
Mm-hmm.
make you less safe, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, really connect with people, whether in the community, there's the website, the hotline, www.thehotline.org, that also do like a lot of safety planning and signs of abuse as well. So I think when people are ready to leave, that's when they start, reaching out to family and friends and
Mm-hmm.
resources and really try to see, okay, what do I need to do to get out of this?
Yeah.
Right. So I actually, when you talked about ready to leave, I saw something on social media or somewhere. It takes at least 7 attempts for a woman to actually leave, or anybody who's experiencing
Mhm.
domestic violence. Do you believe that to be true? And how long did it take you to leave your situation?
Absolutely. I think because we don't like we're loving from our level of self-love and loving from the last level of love that we were given, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we love this person. So it's like, well, I don't want to, when you love somebody, you love something, you don't want to let them go, and you just like fall into this pattern in this cycle. And then there's a day where you have enough, and then they're begging and pleading, and you're like, okay, I love you. There's another day you have enough, begging. Like, so yeah, like I think there's definitely a number of cycles that we have to go through to where we really get tired, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
we
Mm-hmm.
really get into to this point where it's like, I can't do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
My prayer and my hope is that it doesn't come to like anything fatal, right? Because there's situations where that has happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you think about also kids being involved. But I think for me, it like the cycle was more like different name, different face, same pattern, right? And then it was like this last relationship was the icing on the cake to end that pattern and be like, you know what?
Right.
Something has to change. Like, I can't keep doing this to myself. Like, I can't keep allowing, people to think that they can put their hands on me and that be okay. Um, or that they like tell me that they're taking me to work and they're really like making sure I'm going to work and no one's talking to me, and you know what I'm saying? Like all these other extra things that I thought was cute, but it's like, nah, like I'm really trying to control you. And
Yeah.
when it's time to get paid, like give me your wallet, give me your card. Like we're doing what I want to do, right? So yeah, like it takes a minute. Unfortunately, it takes a minute. Especially if you haven't seen what a healthy relationship looks like, right? Or you haven't really felt into what does loving myself look and feel like, right? What does it look like to really be so immersed in who I am and who God created me to be and not really take on other people's identity and be who other people want me to be? Because then that's where that confusion can come in. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, well, I'll take anything, right? But they tell me they love me, so I'm good, right? This is
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to end on this question of like, how has your take on relationships been since your past relationships? Like, do you have a different perspective on how you approach relationships and even how you love yourself?
Whew, I'm cool being single for a while. um, it's funny because somebody asked me the other day, like, what is it that I want in a partner? And sometimes I like not beat myself up. I get like Ashley, really? Like that's the baseline. But like I always say, I need to feel protected, right? And I had to like take this journey to even come to a place where it's like I like that's more than a baseline. Like that's just automatic. You know what I'm saying? So it's really right now, like I'm in a space where I made a vow to myself the beginning of this year to where I just want to keep falling in love with myself
Hmm.
and keep finding, all these depths and crevices of who I am and really live the life that I desire. I still believe in marriage. Marriage is still a powerful space to be under. There's something different that happens when two come together, right? There's a different level of purpose that happens. So I still believe in marriage. It hasn't tainted me in thinking that it's something that it's not. I still believe in love. I still believe in healthy partnerships and relationships. I think right now for me, I want to be very clear on when a person comes to me, like you've got like our values match,
Right.
like those non-negotiables are the same, and like also really taking my time with dating, yeah, when that
Mm-hmm.
time comes.
Right.
So yeah, but right now it's just me.
Hey, nothing wrong
There's
with
nothing
that,
wrong with
girl.
that. Nothing
Yeah.
wrong at all. So our next segment is Mama Juice. And friend, you want to talk about what Mama Juice is and
Yeah, of course.
to anyone listening to the first time?
Yeah, so every episode we have a drink that is curated by us,
Hmm.
Devin and I. And in this episode, we made sure our drink was personalized to Ashley and what she enjoys. So a part of that conversation is us asking our guests, what do you like to drink?
Hmm.
And Ashley responded with a simple Pinot Noir.
Hmm.
And that is our mama juice today.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's called At Peace,
Mhm.
because Ashley is working towards this life of peace, which it seems like you're getting there or close to being there.
Hmm.
And that's something I'm striving for too. I want
Yeah.
to live a peaceful life.
Yes, absolutely.
And just a nice chilled glass of Pinot Noir is what our drink is.
Hmm.
And if you want to get fancy, you can add berries to it
Hmm.
or mint. Y'all know I love a mint garnish. And if you are a mama to be or you do not drink alcohol, that's totally fine. You can have a nice chilled glass of pure cranberry juice
Hmm.
and add your berries and garnish to that as well. And it'll give you the same chilled feel of being at peace.
Yeah.
And that is our mama juice today,
Yeah.
inspired by Ashley.
Yeah.
Love it.
So, our next segment of the show, if this is your first time listening, we have a segment called Mama's Corner. And this is our opportunity to connect with our guests further, whether that's through reflection or asking a question that a listener may have written in. So I do have a reflection question for you, Ashley.
Mhm.
And because we did talk about some heavy, deep stuff, right? So I do want to end on a lighter note. And we always like to have a takeaway for our moms. And you're an expert in yoga. So as moms, we could feel fatigued, we could feel tired, we could feel stressed the hell out. And so what are some simple poses that moms can do to kind of release that energy they're feeling?
So there's actually one that you can do with your kids. They
Okay.
love
Okay.
this. It's called Joy Breath.
Okay.
Um, so you take a nice big inhale, bring your hands up over your head. You exhale and you go whoo, like come all the way forward.
Okay.
You come back up, bring your hands up over your head, and then bring them out over like towards the side and go whoo
Hmm.
again. And then you come back up and then you come back to like a centered space. So it's meant to go like fast,
Yeah.
right? But kids love it because they get to move. Um, Another one to like release energy and gain some energy. Sometimes I just like find your feet flat on the ground, bring your hands out towards your side. This is called mountain pose. And then bring your gaze down your nose or completely close your eyes and just sway your top body right from the hips up from side to side, right? And sometimes just that simple movement allows you to like come back into your body, right? Allows you to like release a little bit. You'll start to feel your shoulders come down. You'll start to feel like a little bit more relaxation. Kids do it too. Um, and then some one more other pose is balasana, which is child's pose.
Okay.
You come down into like a table posture onto the floor. Bring your big toes together and then walk your knees out as far as you can to like opposite ends, and bring your tailbone down towards your heels, and then walk your hands out as far out as you can and bring your forehead down onto the mat. You take a nice big inhale and just right, just let it out. It opens up a lot of the spine. It opens up the back. It opens up the lower back. It opens up the hips. It opens up the heart space. It's a nice full body opener. Like every time you take an exhale, you'll feel yourself kind of come down a little bit more into that posture. So yeah, it's
Doing all that
I
tonight.
see her.
Yes. Love it.
Doing it all tonight. I need to be open.
Yes. Opened up.
I do.
Can do it with you. Yeah, the
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you probably don't want them to,
Right.
but
I love
Feel
that.
tight and
Thank
stressed.
you. Thank you for that. So, Ashleie, if people want to learn more about you, connect with you, buy your books, like where can they find you?
So, Married to Trauma is currently on Amazon, and it's on pre-order at barnesandnobles.com. There's also a Kindle version that is available. Excuse me while I look up my IG because I remember the
Girl,
name.
we have so many moms on here who do not remember their IGs, and it's hilarious because we say this every time.
It's a lot.
Yeah, they're like, "What's my hold on, let me do
So
So we
I don't
can
remember
always.
mine. I'm trying to like sneak and open it.
No, it's fine. You can always we can get it from you later, and we'll put it in the description box. No biggie.
Yeah.
Like that is a recurring thing. Like it's so hilarious. And honestly, if we didn't do what we did, I probably wouldn't remember ours either. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
But my
hilarious.
IG is the Black Creative Yogini. I do a horrible job with like sharing tips and tricks, but like there's my link tree's in there. I'm currently offering one-on-one spaces, Release and Rise 101 yoga spaces where we like dive deep into healing, getting into the body, all of that, and just having like conversation around what you want to release, what like where you want to go, all of that. So the book is on there. I'm doing wellness professional development workshops. So those consultations are open. The podcast, Voices of the Body, I do meditation and breath work in the beginning of every episode. So you can definitely tap in there if you just want to start there, which I highly recommend. So yeah, I'm
Love
around.
it.
All that
Love
will
it.
be in the description box.
Yes, we love the work that you're doing. Keep it up. Trauma does not define you, and you are definitely a living testament of that. So just keep living out loud because you are motivating so many.
Thank
So-
you. Thank you so much, ladies.
Yes,
Thank you.
of course.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
for
joining us.
blessing
Thank you
us.
for your time. She's a whole like 7 hours ahead of us and still 8 hours and made time for little old us.
It's
So
11 hours, friend.
Oh, it's
She's
11?
11 hours
Lord,
ahead of
see,
us.
I'm getting everything.
We said we're moving up.
Okay, 11 hours ahead of
11
us.
hours.
So, yeah, it's just, she made time for us. That's what I'm trying to say, okay? Whether it's 5, 3, 11, she made time for us out of
And
her
we
day.
thank you
So
for
we
that,
thank you,
Ashleie.
we appreciate you, and we wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Keep thriving. I love the podcast. Like moms need a safe space. So thank you for this space that you've curated.
Absolutely. Well, we'll have you back for sure. Maybe a live class
Yeah,
or
I
something
can
when
see
you
a
get back
live
to the
yoga
States.
class.
Yeah, we have
Thinking
to.
about it.
Yes, so we have to get something together. We'll talk about it though.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, until next time, mamas. Bye.
Bye.